Sanguinius, the Great Angel, was the Primarch of the Blood Angel Space Marine Legion, one of the most beloved figures in the Imperium. Sanguinius was among both the most noble and the mightiest Primarchs. His charisma, humility, and loyalty to the Emperor to the point of self-sacrifice has earned him a great deal of reverence even in the 41st millennium. When the Emperor began his Great Crusade to reunite the galaxy, he created the Primarchs, superhuman warriors, to lead his space marines across the galaxy. The powers of chaos stole the Primarchs, but unable to destroy them, set them astray in the world. The infant Sanguinius came to rest upon the radiation-soaked moon of Secundus, and was adopted by a tribe of humans known as the People of the Pure Blood, or simply the Blood. Sanguinius, like all Primarchs, grew quickly and soon surpassed all his teachers, and was capable of mighty feats of strength and endurance. At 3 weeks, he was a large child, capable of walking. Within a year, he was taller than any man. Before even being found by the Blood, Sanguinius slew an infamous predator known as the Palite Fire Scorpion. Uniquely amongst the Primarchs, he sported a pair of angel-like wings from his back, though whether this was by the design of the Emperor or a mutation caused by the high levels of radiation on Baal is unknown. He was also said to have psychic powers, especially the ability to divine the future. Using these skills, Sanguinius led the Blood against the numerically superior mutant hordes of Baal. While he was known for his loyalty and amicability, in battle, Sanguinius was known for his total and unstoppable wrath to those who threatened his people. Thanks to the effort of Sanguinius, the Blood was victorious over the mutant hordes of Baal, and he became worshipped by his people as a god. Ultimately, the Emperor arrived on Baal and, disguising himself, infiltrated a speech by Sanguinius to his followers. There, the master of mankind witnessed his lost son gave an impassioned speech that displayed both humility and courage. However, like Conrad Kaz, Sanguinius had already foreseen the arrival of the Emperor and immediately recognized him. When Sanguinius confronted the Emperor, he demanded his father swear an oath to leave the Pure of Baal in peace. Moreover, he asked what would happen if he refused the Emperor's offer, being the only Primarch to do so. The Emperor stated that he knew Sanguinius would not refuse, for he yearned to save the people of the galaxy just as he had saved those on Baal. Moreover, the Emperor agreed to Sanguinius' terms regarding the Palites. Satisfied, Sanguinius pledged himself to the Emperor. The Emperor inducted the best warriors of Sanguinius' tribe into his pre-existing Space Marine Legion, the Revenant Legion, which soon became known as the Blood Angels. Sanguinius would not be reunited with his legion immediately, instead spending 3 years with Horus and his Lunar Wolves to learn the ways of the Imperium. During this time, he grew close to Abaddon and Tariq Togaden. He first met his then savage Revenant Legion during the pacification of Tiga Bentaris, but shocked all assembled by first learning the name of each and every one of his warriors. Giving a speech before his assembled sons, Sanguinius stated that he would swear an oath to his legion instead of the vice versa. Sanguinius stated he hoped he could live up to leading his sons, and that he would stand with them whatever may come, be it glory or damnation. He declared the 9th Legion to be scattered and broken no longer, and that they alone would conduct the coming campaign without the aid of the Lunar Wolves. Sanguinius' humility roused the assembled warriors, who immediately pledged themselves to their Primarch. During the subsequent war on Tiga Bentaris, his first kill was a ferocious Carnadon. The belt of the beast was fashioned into a ceremonial war cloak for the Primarch. The noble angel was highly respected by all the legions and by all his brother Primarchs. Even Horus highly valued his brother's advice. During the Emperor's Crusade, Sanguinius and Horus became close brothers, and it was said that they were closer than any of the other Primarchs. He provided counsel that Horus listened to during the incident with the Enterics during the War on Murder. Shortly after, Horus became War Master and was generally the one with the most sway on Horus after the Emperor. It was Sanguinius who convinced Horus to accept the name change of the Lunar Wolves to the Sons of Horus. Horus even revealed that he believed Sanguinius should have been proclaimed War Master instead of him, and pointed to Sanguinius to be the new War Master when he thought he was dying on Davin. Sanguinius was a beloved figure who was revered by all of the Imperium. Robert Guilliman, the Primarch of the Ultramarines, privately referred to Sanguinius as one of the dauntless few, the four of his brothers that Guilliman trusted the most. Despite his seemingly peaceful nature, Sanguinius was known for his martial prowess, to the extent he was considered a match for Horus and Lionel Johnson in combat ability. Sanguinius. It should have been him. He has the vision and strength to carry us to victory, and the wisdom to rule once victory is won. For all his aloof coolness, he alone has the Emperor's soul in his blood. Each of us carries part of our Father within us, whether it is his hunger for battle, his psychic talent, or his determination to succeed. Sanguinius holds it all. It should have been his. Ironically, this belief was reflected later during the Horus heresy, while Horus was plotting the Blood Angel's downfall at Cygnus Prime. Horus deviated from the battle plan laid out by Erebus by insisting that Sanguinius must die. Horus claimed this was because he knew his brother would never turn to chaos, but the demon Keres asked whether Horus was afraid of having a rival, that Sanguinius was the only one of the Primarchs who, if turned, would have a chance of finding greater favor with the gods of chaos than Horus himself. Despite the apparent rivalry between Horus and Sanguinius, the two were quick to become close friends. When Horus discovered the genetic flow of the Blood Angels while on joint campaign, he kept the secret from the Emperor. Before Horus's treachery was revealed, he sent Sanguinius to a world named Cygnus Prime to supposedly fight the Xenos known as the Nephilim. However, once in the Cygnus system, the Blood Angels were ambushed by hordes of demons, and they soon became stranded on the damned world. At the peak of the fighting, Sanguinius confronted the greater demon of Khorne, Kabanda, who managed to wound the Primarch by breaking his legs. Sanguinius was then rendered comatose by a psychic backlash created by the rage fire and amplified by the deaths of his sons at the hands of Kabanda. The Red Thirst subsequently erupted across the Blood Angels, and they slaughtered both friend and foe in the rampage. Fortunately, the Legion librarians managed to eventually restore the Primarch, and he was able to defeat Kabanda in a second duel, banishing him back to the warp. Sanguinius then led his forces into the Chaos Fortress on Cygnus, the Cathedral of the Mark, where he was confronted by the Keeper of Secrets, Keres the Reverence. Keres gave Sanguinius a choice: sacrifice himself to the rage fire and have the Red Thirst forever lifted from his sons, or allow his legion to face eventual destruction due to their genetic flaw. Deciding to sacrifice himself, Sanguinius was about to step into the rage fire when he was beaten to it by apothecary Miros, who was transformed into the Red Angel. Mourning Miros, Sanguinius slew Keres and swore vengeance on Horus. Reeling from the catastrophe that had befallen him on Cygnus, but determined to defeat Horus, Sanguinius had the Blood Angels set course for Terra. However, as a result of the rune storm created by the treacherous Erebus, navigation and communication across the Imperium was made almost impossible. Following the Pharaoh's psychic beacon, Sanguinius eventually found his way to Macragge, where Robert Guilliman, fearing Terra lost, declared a reluctant Sanguinius the new Emperor Regent or Imperator Regus of his contingency empire Imperium Secundus. Sanguinius was soon plagued by visions of his death at the hands of Horus and realized this was no omen but a window into the future. Later during the Battle of Sotha, while Guilliman and Lionel Johnson were both away, Sanguinius was confronted by Conrad Kurz, who had infiltrated his throne room on Macragge and badly wounded Ascalon. Kurz confided that he had foreseen Sanguinius's death on the vengeful spirit and wanted to know why the angel still followed the Emperor when their mutual visions had proven his teachings to have been lies. He also asked why Sanguinius had rejected Kyrie's offer at Cygnus Prime, and if the angel felt he was more deserving of the title War Master than Horus, to which Sanguinius responded he was not, trying to teach Sanguinius that fate could not be changed and that his own death would not be here. Kurz let Sanguinius come at him with his sword and goaded him to cut him down. Sanguinius ultimately halted his sword, urging Kurz that it was not too late to change and join with his loyalist brothers, proclaiming there was only chaos in the end. Kurz set off an explosive trap and escaped. As the Lion and Guilliman continued to clash over policy in Imperium Secundus, Sanguinius attempted to mediate the two. He later presided over the trial of the now captured Conrad Kurz, after Lionel Johnson attempted to kill Kurz during the trial while in a rage at the Night Haunter's accusations. Sanguinius dismissed him from Imperium Secundus. Later, Sanguinius became determined to pass the sentence of death down onto Kurz himself. But just as he was about to strike down the Primarch, Lionel Johnson reappeared, demanding to be Kurz's jailer and stating that Kurz was able to see the future, and he repeated that Kurz's claim that his death would be at the hands of an assassin sent by the Emperor. This, to the Lion, was proof that the Emperor was still alive. Sanguinius recognized that his own visions of death would also be true, and he shared his visions of death at the hands of Horus with both of his brothers. Following the trial of Kurz, Sanguinius, Lionel Johnson, and Robert Guilliman all agreed to try and preach the rune storm to reach Terra and aid the Emperor, who they now knew still lived. Sanguinius was now beginning to suffer from the beginning stages of the Black Rage, which infected Sanguinius's mind due to the prophetic visions of his own death. In a fit of hysteria, Sanguinius nearly struck down one of his own sons aboard the Red Tear, the Blood Angel's flagship. He was desperate to prevent all of his sons from falling as he was, and was seeking any answer. While in the rune storm, the Loyalist fleet came across a variety of horrors and word of an entity spreading destruction known as the Pilgrim. During the Battle of Peyran, Sanguinius received a vision and he realized that he needed to go where this struggle had begun, Davin, the world where Horus had fallen. Reluctantly, Guilliman and the Lion agreed to trust in Sanguinius, but both had thought they would simply destroy the world upon arriving. At Davin, the Loyalist fleet found the entire world surrounded by a shell made of the bones of trillions dubbed the Necrosphere. A bombardment managed to penetrate the sphere, and the fleet was soon in orbit above Davin. While over Davin, Sanguinius shocked the Lion by boarding the Invincible Reason and taking the captive Conrad Kurz with him. Sanguinius hoped to use Kurz's prophetic abilities to determine what he was meant to do upon Davin. However, the Dark Angel's guards did not submit before Sanguinius. and he was forced to dispatch several using non-lethal methods. After escaping the invincible region, Sanguinius commanded a mass landing on the world, and the enraged lion nearly ordered that Davin be subjected to exterminatus, regardless of Sanguinius's presence on it. On Davin, a mass drop-pod assault was conducted, but nothing was found, and the population was absent. The four Primarchs eventually traveled to the temple where Horus had been subjected to the ritual by Erebus and the serpent lodge that had corrupted him. Inside the temple, Sanguinius stood at the altar where Horus had been laid and proclaimed that he would change his destiny. This activated Davin itself. Warp storms roared above, and a portal opened up that swallowed up Sanguinius. Inside the portal on Davin, Sanguinius was back on Terra in a beautiful garden at the Imperial Palace. He, for the first time, was experiencing a vision that was not his death aboard the vengeful spirit. He saw Lorgar dead by his hands, and the remaining traitor Primarchs brought before him in chains. The Emperor congratulated Sanguinius on his victory and named him the Imperator Regis of the Imperium. With Sanguinius as the Emperor's regent, he went on to lead a great campaign that purged the Imperium of all corruption and evil. Seeing this future and observing the Emperor's mannerisms, he became suspicious as to what was going on. At last, he cut down the image of the Emperor, who was revealed to be the demon Madail in disguise. Sanguinius and Madail engaged in a vicious duel. Madail had unleashed a demonic horde through the portal to prevent Guilliman and the lion breaking through. The host included a massive soul grinder, which was destroyed in a combined effort by the lion and Guilliman. On the other side of the portal, the angel was eventually bent by Madail's host of demonic troops, and the Preacher of Chaos Undivided announced that Sanguinius would serve or die. Madail dubbed Horus an imperfect vessel and urged Sanguinius to strike Loprical down and take up the mantle as War Master of Chaos. If he did so, Madail declared, his sons would be spared of the Black Rage. However, despite the temptation, Sanguinius denied the demon and broke free of his captors. Sanguinius and Madail again engaged in a duel, but this time the demon was impaled by both the blade in Carmine and the spear of Tolesto. The two wounded warriors wrestled with one another until they were both in the portal, torn between the Materium and Immaterium. On Davin, Guilliman and the lion saw Sanguinius's upper half striking through the portal and rushed to his aid, but were blocked by demons. The stalemate endured until Sanguinius's herald, the Sanguinor, stepped forth and declared that he would take the angel's place in the portal. Realizing that this was his herald's destiny and that he needed to confront Horus at Terra for the Imperium to endure, Sanguinius solemnly agreed. The Sanguinor charged into Madail, and as he tackled the demon back through the portal, was transformed into a golden angelic form. The Primarchs and their escorts managed to escape the temple just as it collapsed. In the blaze of where Davin once was, a breach in the rune storm was visible. The path led to Terra, but upon further study, it became apparent that somehow Horus had foreseen this route, and a large blockade was erected to block them. Guilliman and the lion agreed to distract the blockade, while Sanguinius and the Blood Angels made directly for Terra, for that was their destiny. Sanguinius took Kaz with him, stating he would face their father's justice. However, once aboard the Red Tier, Sanguinius revealed that he would allow Kaz to follow his destiny as well, death at the hands of an Imperial assassin. Sanguinius stated that while it may take millennia for him to be found, Kaz's fate would catch up with him eventually. With that, he sealed Kaz in a stasis coffin and jettisoned the frozen Primarch into space as the Night Haunter roared in rage. The delay in action of Guilliman and the Lion allowed Sanguinius and the Blood Angels to reach Terra. He met with Rogal Dawn, Leman Russ, Jagatai Khan, and Malkador the Sigillite to discuss their upcoming strategy. Sanguinius urged Russ to remain on Terra for the battle instead of leaving to face Horus directly, though not as much as Dawn. Sanguinius' arrival was publicized greatly by loyalist media, his angelic figure being used as propaganda to boost the morale of the failing Imperial war effort. Sanguinius, along with Jagatai Khan, later appeared at the Battle of Beta Gamen. Though over a month late due to difficult warp travel, Sanguinius immediately took over the confused loyalist war effort and launched a major offensive towards Beta Gamen II. During the battle, which saw over 1,000 Titans battle one another, Sanguinius and his sanguinary guard boarded the traitor Imperator Titan Axis Mundi, destroying it from the inside. However, the entire battle on Beta Gamen II was an elaborate ploy from Horus, whose real target was Beta Gamen III. The loyalist forces on Beta Gamen II were largely destroyed in a shower of orbital debris caused by the detonation of the star fort, the Anvil. And in the aftermath of the disaster, Sanguinius and the Khan agreed that Dawn's gambit at Beta Gamen had reached its limit, and it was time to return to Terra. During the final phase of the Solar War, Sanguinius appeared in Dawn's Barb Bastion alongside Jagatai Khan and Malkador. He expressed belief that Dawn's defensive efforts in the Sol system were ultimately futile, as the war would be decided at Terra, and he was destined to face Horus. In the subsequent Battle of Terra, Sanguinius was a key symbol of morale for the besieged loyalist forces. He was forbidden from flying in the open or leaving the palace walls by Rogal Dawn, something that he would sometimes violate. During the early stages of the siege, he led a sortie out of the walls to rescue Jagatai Khan from swarms of Death Guard, as well as inspire the beleaguered conscripts manning the outer defenses around the palace. Later, during the first traitor Astartes assault upon the walls of the palace, Sanguinius led a Blood Angels, Imperial Fists, and Legio Solaria counter-attack out of the Helios Gate to buy time for the Imperial army troops outside to retreat within. During this battle, he was confronted by Angron, who roared a challenge at the Angel. Sanguinius refused, instead saluting his brother and proclaiming that while they would one day battle, today was not that day. Later, Sanguinius was put in charge of the defenses of Gorgon Bar, fighting alongside Imperial Fists captain Fafnir Ran and large amounts of Imperial army. During the battle, Sanguinius discovered that his visions had grown to include real-time visions of what some of his brother Primarchs were currently seeing. Sanguinius saw the siege through Angron's own eyes. During the Battle of Gorgon Bar, Sanguinius was able to fell a Legio Volba warlord titan by assaulting its head, an act so impressive that its three accompanying Warhound titans fled at the sight of the Angel. Such was the inspiration provided by Sanguinius that Gorgon Bar held under a large Iron Warrior's assault. After the battle, Sanguinius informed Dawn that he had a vision of Angron sensing the destruction of Noceria by the Dark Angels, indicating that the Lion was still alive. During the final stages of the Siege of Terra, Sanguinius led the defense of the Eternity Gate, entrance to the Sanctum Imperialis itself. Before the hopeless battle, Sanguinius stated any of the defenders who wished to could leave, though apparently none did. He then took to the skies and beheaded the traitor Reva Titan, daughter of Torment. which had previously delivered Horus's terms to the defenders after unveiling the tortured form of the Blood Angels captain Adamas. In the subsequent battle, Sanguinius heroically led the defense, slaying traitors wherever they appeared before being assailed by the bloodthirster Kabanda, the same creature he had fought at Cygnus Prime. Sanguinius was able to break the creature's back with the hilt of his sword, sending the demon back to the earth to be consumed by the lesser of his kind. Though weakened from his fight with Kabanda, Sanguinius nonetheless next faced his demonic brother Angron. After a climatic airborne battle, Angron impaled Sanguinius upon his black blade. However, Sanguinius used the opportunity to rip out Angron's butcher's nails, causing the demon Primarch's head to explode. With Angron banished into the warp, the World Eaters lost whatever sanity they had and began to cut down their own allies. This broke the traitor advance just short of the Eternity Gate, which managed to finally seal shut as the surviving loyalists fled inside. Just hours after sealing the Eternity Gate, a still bleeding Sanguinius was summoned by the Emperor himself to the Golden Throne. Learning that Horus had lowered the void shields of the Vengeful Spirit, and his father intended to launch a teleportation assault aboard the vessel. Much to Sanguinius' dismay, the Emperor informed him that he would not join in the assault, but rather stay behind to command the remaining loyalist forces on Terra. Sanguinius later confronted the Emperor as he was fitting on his armor for battle, stating that he was refusing to stay behind. The Emperor was unmoved until Sanguinius finally revealed his prophetic visions of his death at Horus's hand. To the Emperor's surprise, Sanguinius stated he did not seek death at Horus's hands, but rather sought to change his fate by challenging it head-on. This persuaded the Emperor to change his mind and allow Sanguinius to take part in the assault. For the Master of Mankind had spent many lifetimes attempting to defy fate the same way. Upon teleporting aboard the Vengeful Spirit alongside the sanguinary guard and veterans under Raldoran, first captain of the Blood Angels, Sanguinius was scattered throughout the Vengeful Spirit along with the other Imperials. However, he and his Blood Angels were the only boarding party to initially reach the intended target of Disembarkation Deck 2, fighting through swaths of sons of Horus, demons, and ward bearers. Inside the corrupted vessel, Sanguinius was guided by the wraith of Ferrus Manus, Primarch of the 10th Legion, the Iron Hands, whose soul had been returned to the mortal realm on a whim by Horus as a form of psychological torture. Still preparing to face his father, Horus deliberately let Sanguinius reach him within the heavily mutated Lubrical's court, planning to turn Sanguinius to chaos so that they may confront their father together. Horus was genuinely disappointed when Sanguinius refused his offer to join him in Ascendancy. Instead, the already heavily injured Sanguinius attacked Horus with all his might, displaying ferocious combat ability. Horus still held back his true power, engaging in a purely martial battle with Sanguinius in hopes of breaking him down so he may accept the powers of the warp. However, Sanguinius fought so stubbornly and viciously that Horus grew frustrated and even took several wounds. In the end, Horus was forced to change his plans when he detected that the Emperor was incoming towards his location. Horus finally decided to kill Sanguinius and unleashed his full power, reaching into the 8th dimension to grab Sanguinius and slam him to the ground mid-flight. Horus proceeded to batter his brother with World Breaker and impaled him several times with his talon before the skull of Ferrus Manus. Horus let out a disappointed sigh as his brother died and his body was strung up by demons. Others state that the only damage Sanguinius did was to create a small dent in Horus's armor. Some say, however, that it was through this chink in Horus's armor that the Emperor was able to deliver the fatal blow. Thus, the belief is that Sanguinius did not die in vain, but by dying allowed Horus to be slain and the Horus heresy destroyed. Sanguinius' body was discovered shortly after by the Emperor as he arrived in Lubrical's court. The Emperor ordered Sanguinius' body be taken down from its crucifix, which Leto carried out. His body was later taken from the vengeful spirit by Dawn, Valdor, and other surviving Imperials following Horus's defeat. Shortly after the Imperial victory in the Siege of Terra, a funeral service for Sanguinius was subsequently held on the throne world by Ralduran, Ascalon, and 500 surviving Blood Angels. His body was then borne away to his home planet Paul, where he was laid to rest in the golden sarcophagus, deep within a vast tomb whose doors were topped with massive angel effigies in honor of the fallen Primarch. Of all the Primarchs, Sanguinius is commonly held in the highest honor because he is generally believed to have sacrificed himself to allow Horus, the great betrayer, to be defeated. The Primarch's name is cherished by the common citizens of the Imperium. Temples devoted to Sanguinius rise aside those of the Emperor. Sanguinius is commemorated on a sacred day of celebration called the Sanguinala, when adepts across the galaxy wear on their breast the red badge of Sanguinius. A feather of Sanguinius recovered from the vengeful spirit has been shown to have special properties and is used by the perpetual John Grammaticus to travel across space and time. An apparent avatar of Sanguinius appeared before Mephiston in the Warp, revealing the truth of the Gold Angel, the Sanguinor, and the Black Angel. This being cryptically stated that he is not Sanguinius, as Sanguinius is dead, yet Mephiston and Dante both suspect a psychic echo of the Primarch may still endure within the Imperium. Alright guys, if you enjoyed this, hit that like button, leave a comment for the algorithm, and don't forget to subscribe to stay tuned for more.